I'm down here, by the way. But Josh is currently not here because he's working at E3, and because of that, obviously we use our backup production expert, which would be me. So in the pre-show, we're gonna talk about anything you want me to talk about, aka ask me questions. Sick. Oh God, that went off the edge. No, Josh here. I am production king. Okay, let's go here. All right, hold up. I'm here. You know what? It's fine because once I make a dramatic entrance. Hold up a sec. Hold up. All right. Right here. Okay, and then. Oh. Let's go. It's over my head. I'm gonna turn around. Dude, it's me. Welcome, guys. Welcome to the Greatest League Talkshow pre-show, where usually I'm joined by a special guest, which would be here, or another special guest, which would be here. But unfortunately, this time, it's just me. So what ended up happening was usually my great co-host and production expert, Josh, is kind of... actually, he got a paying job this weekend. So he's working E3 with a big company, and which means that leaves me by myself, actually. So additionally, Yuna was busy today because he was eating with his family, so I didn't have many people I could bring in last minute. Some of the production's a little bit slow. The reason is because I went to the studio early to get the keys from Mark to get set up everything. Mark just didn't come out for 40 minutes. So I actually got stuck outside the LCS studio for about 40 minutes waiting for keys to this place. It felt pretty bad. And it also kind of messed up my analysis for like some of the later series because I wasn't able to catch the games as much as I could. I tried to switch to them on my phone, which is probably like one of the worst things I can do. So if today's show is a little bit bad analysis-wise, I completely blame Mark for everything, actually. Yuna isn't eating with his family. He's streaming, friend. Okay, well, I think the plan was he was originally eating with his family, but what happened today, right? Today ended up going to, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4 full best of threes today, which is insane because yesterday was all ended 2-0. So today stretched on pretty long, extra long today. And I think he was slotted to finish a lot earlier. And I think he might have been able to make it, but it's not a big deal. Anyways, I don't have really much to talk about today. I explained my situation. For people who don't know, I'm Scarra, otherwise known as William Lee, otherwise known as that guy who's balding. But I am a streamer. I do YouTube stuff. I was on the analyst desk. I was a coach. I was a player. I guess I'm still a player. I'm playing again. So I'm literally everything. Everything you want in a human being in the scene. So I've kind of dipped and dabbled in pretty much everything possible. I'm here to share with you my wealth of knowledge and experience with you guys. God tier all around mega jungler. Actually, today was pretty. I felt pretty bad because I've obviously been playing jungle for new team Delta Fox for a while now, and I think competitively I played a total of 4 games. We got 0-4 throughout the series, and because it's on a really big team, I kind of take some flack for that. Rightfully so in some degrees, wrongfully so in others. But it feels really bad because today I was watching TSM games and Sven had a bad series. Like, no way to put it. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. The guy just I think the top comment on the Reddit thread really was, "Wow, it's nice of Scarra to be able to play on 2 teams." I just read that, I was just like, "All right, Jesus." I feel really bad because like he's probably getting flamed so hard right now. Like he should really, hopefully, he's got a good support network because he needs it after that series. Can I talk about Pyrion, the other NB sub? I've never heard of him. Well, Pyrion is rank 1 mid laner, rank 1 mid laner. He plays a lot of Kassadin. His Talia is really good. He's just a good, consistent mid laner, and something that enemy tended to lack last split. Nisq is a European mid laner. I don't know much about him except for I played against him when he was on 200 ping and I beat him, which means absolutely nothing. So aside from that, that's all I know. Talking about my life aspirations. At the moment, I don't have any far-reaching goals. I'd like to be a multi-bajillionaire by the time my life ends. Actually, I realized with my current work schedule, I'm working about like 80, 90-hour weeks at the moment. I think I'd be fortunate to pass 30 without dying. I hope that when I get to the 30th mark, I just don't kneel over. I hope to live a long life doing whatever I love to do. That's my aspiration. Bum, bum, bum. Hopes for E3. Oh, okay. So I should talk about this. Well, one, I'll be at E3 doing meet and greets and stuff for one of my sponsors, Acers. So if you're out there, first year ever, you're able to buy passes from the public. Of course, from what I understand, the public passes are super expensive, something like $400. But I'm hoping E3 has some interesting stuff. One of the things that came up quickly, and honestly, one of the bummer things about Josh not being here is Nintendo just released a competitive Twitter or competitive esports Twitter, and there's a gigantic of the 4 games they support 3 games, and there's a gigantic red blank where there is gonna be another game slotted in, and I just look at that blank and I'm just like, that's something. Is that Melee HD? I don't know, but that's something which like I would have liked to talk with Josh about, but unfortunately that didn't happen. But anyways, for E3, I'm hoping that's really cool this year. I heard some of the original conferences were pretty bad. I heard there were some moments which maybe some people shut off the screen, but just in general, I just hope to go there and have fun. Like I want to play a lot of new games. One of the games I'm looking out for is ARMS because really looks like a really fun game. I'm in a house with like 6-7 people, so playing that game really enjoyable. Why is E3 so bad every year? Dude, E3 was so important. I love the idea of E3. E3 for me was like, it was a place where I eventually wanted to go when I was a kid. When I was a kid, I wanted to go to 2 places, BlizzCon and E3. Those were like the holy grail things for me when I was younger, because I was just like, wow, I talked up conventions so much when I was younger. I was like, conventions must be the coolest things to go to. You gotta be hip to go to them. You gotta just be like, it'll change my world. And then when I finally went to one, I was like, oh, this is cool. But I'm doing sponsor stuff, so I can't really enjoy it. And then I kind of got over like the like first impressions of it, and usually when I go to cons, I just end up working. So for the most part, a lot of those conventions are you go there to hang out with your friends or meet new friends, and if you don't have those, then unless you're going to PAX, you can see the entire convention pretty quickly. I'm hoping E3 this year has a lot of new cool stuff, so I can like kind of walk around and play it. That'd be sick. I don't have any expectations of games. I honestly don't know what's going to happen, but I'm hoping something that's not terrible, like apparently what the EA conference was. It wasn't that sponsors ruined the experience, man. It's just like some of the first PAXs I went to, PAX East I went there because I was competing. And it's a different thing, right? When you first go to a convention, but like you're responsible for something else that's not just pure personal enjoyment. And like the next 4 or 5 times I went to PAX was also for work. And I kind of went through like the phase where PAX was like gonna be the thing for me. And afterwards I was just like, it's still cool, but just it never really hit that level that kind of I thought it would. What about Anime Expo, dude? I am so excited for Anime Expo, actually. I'm pretty sure I already convinced everyone in the house to cosplay for Anime Expo. And I don't know what I'm going to do yet, but I'm ready. One of our manager in the house, Chris, was just like, dude, you guys should cosplay and make your own cosplay. $20 limit. And I'm just like, dude, that's like stuff you do for like video content. I don't want to be publicly embarrassed at Anime Expo when I show up wrapped in like toilet paper and like have like a little crane or something. Like something just isn't, it's just not going to work. And I just realized, holy moly, I need to actually have my volume up really high, because if I don't, then Mark can't get in because I have his keys. Okay, well, as soon as this vibrates, I got him. But yeah, that was his idea, and I'm just like, you know what? Let's not go with that. Instead, we're going to go with probably buying our own cosplay, and it should be cool. I think I have an idea of what I want to do, but you'll probably see our entire household at AX this year if you guys are going. Just chilling. Realistically, what are my expectations for Delta Fox? I think I don't have I just want to win games. So the idea is that going to this next week, Big Gods is our stream match. I would like to win on stream. That would be hype. I think that it just feels really bad being the jungler and like being part of the reason why we lose. I don't think it's solely on me, but it's just like, yeah, obviously if I played better at the jungle, like we would have a higher chance of winning games. And so even like I'm just trying my hardest to get better at the jungle for the most part. How seriously are we taking the Delta Fox team? I think I'm taking the Delta Fox team as seriously as I can without scrimming, if that makes sense. Because the idea when we first made the team was that we would not scrim that much. At least the initial idea. Like maybe going into a couple of weeks in, I think maybe some people want to take it a lot more seriously, but I'm doing as much work as I possibly can without scrims. So talking to the person who was on stage today, Grigne, I bounce ideas back with him every day. I talk to Ethug about like jungle routes, pathing. I look at Korean VODs, watch what they're doing. I watch in LCS all their routes. I play only jungle support in solo queue. In the off chance that I do have this change with shifter for support role, I am gonna make sure that like the transition is as clean as possible. Like I've given up mid for the next 6 weeks, essentially, to the detriment of people watching my stream. To be honest, yeah, I don't know. I think I'm pretty. You guys know how serious I took HOTS, right? Like, so when I was doing Heroes of the Storm for Blizzard, I was Diamond to a Plat 4, and everyone else is Masters. I gave up everything. Like I stopped streaming League for 3 weeks. They required an X amount of like hours for us to stream the entire thing over a period of 3 or 4 weeks. I think it was about 60. I think I crushed it. I was at like 150 hours because I was so mad. I was so low rated that I had to get better. Like that was it. Like I had to get as high as I could. And then kind of the same thing applies to this. It's like I'll give up everything to try to be good at the jungle because it feels really bad when you're playing with friends. And one of the main reasons why they can't enjoy the game as much is because of you. Like, so like if it was just me, it might not mean as much. But when other people's lives are on the line, fate's on the line because of you, that's when like I'm extra motivated because I may not be that important, but like holding my friends back sucks. Like it just feels super bad. Do you think it's ridiculous how seriously people take the team on Reddit? No, I don't think so. I think it's just I don't expect in terms of like seriousness how they take the team. The thing that I didn't expect was more along the lines of I didn't expect how it's more like passion, right? And so the idea that like, oh, we're playing together, it just like popped off. Legit, like I didn't expect the kind of feedback that I did, but people were just like, holy shit, this team is happening. You guys hear about this team? You guys hear? They come into my chat, they'd be like, you hear about the team you're on? I'm like, yeah, dude, I'm on the team, man. And they're like, no, dude, you don't understand. This is huge news. And it's like, wait, dude, I'm on the team. You don't have to tell me, man. I know. But like that's how like hyped up people were. And I think that, yeah, like we can keep people interested. Like or not interested, but like fans of us and like the team if we start winning. And that's why I'm saying like part of the why it sucks to be part of the reasons why we're losing is because like it's not interesting to support a team that always loses. So we have to win, or else like people aren't gonna stay interested. Like and I want people to stay interested and cheer us on because wouldn't it be cool to do really well in Challenger? Wouldn't it be cool to have people cheer you on? I don't know. It's always nice to have fans. Beyond the Rift got canceled. The main reason is because Cutie and me both kind of agreed that we didn't have much time for it. Because in ACS takes about 8 hours a week, 3 hours for both the best of threes a day, and then we have 2 hours of scrims a week currently planned. And because of that, that's like already like 3 times the amount of time commitment that BTR has, as well as the fact that it's shared a time slot, and I already am busy Saturday, Sunday, and Friday. So it's just really, really hard for us to be able to work around that schedule without canceling BTR. It's slotted to come back as soon as NACS is done, but at the moment, not going to happen. Don't worry, dude. If you're really interested in a Discord live Q&A, I'm sure you can talk to Cutie, and he'll get you hooked up. Did I see Gleave's tweets? Yeah, I saw the tweets. Let's not talk about those, dude. They were not. He's been a little bit kooky after he left Riot, and I'm not a person who's gonna hit someone who's down, you know? That's on Team Liquid. We're actually talking about them this week. They won a game. Bummer. Honestly. But I mean I'm happy they won, but I have look at this. Do you see this? Each one of these is a game that happened today. And I was like, oh, you know, I only need like 8 pages because we're going to only 4 teams, and not everyone's gonna get the best of 3. And it's like, no, turns out everyone went to a full best of 3. And so that's why I'm just like, it would have been a little bit nice time wise for this show for me to just be like, you know what, Team Liquid, you guys tried. On to the next series, but that's not the case, and I wouldn't begrudge them the airtime because they did well. What can I say? I have a notebook, but unfortunately, Lily didn't realize it was the notebook I used for work, and she just started drawing in it. So, like the last 8 to 15 pages that I had free for this week, she just drew all the pages. And because of that, I don't have a notebook anymore. He says he's gonna be here. Mark, you're on air. What do you have to say for yourself?
I'm here.
Okay, I'll be right there. All right, hold up a sec. I'll be right back. Don't steal my wallet while I'm away, guys. Wait, I might need this. Do I really need my shoes? God, no one's gonna judge me if I'm using without my shoes. I didn't even. Yeah.
You can turn this light on. You're a mess.
What? I got everything else set up.
All things considered, this is going okay today. I came back as soon as I could, basically.
Wait, you sit down, you intro the show, and I...
You're running production straight up?
Yes.
Oh, shit. All right, well, what side am I on? Aren't I on this?
You're on the right side.
Put on PLT just so.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, just cycle. It doesn't really matter.
And the only thing I need to do is I need to...
You want a Coke Zero? I grabbed 2. I don't know why.
What? We're not sponsored by them yet, dude.
Oh, that's right. That's in the works. Soon TM.
Okay, hold on. Dig versus DS. Oh, I should tap the light.
Sorry, I had to sneeze.
Alright, intro the show.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Greatest League Talkshow, brought to you by me and Scarra, your hosts. I was just on the analyst desk, breaking down the games, used to coach TL. Not anymore, obviously. And then my co-host Scarra running production today because Josh is out working on the topics right now, filling that in. He was a former pro player and the guy whose channel this show's on, so you probably know them. And yeah, this show is going to be part recap show, part analysis show. We'll go over what happened on Friday and Saturday's games from this week of the NALCS. Probably take some questions at the end. We'll see, and then we will get ready for tomorrow. So, yeah, current coach of Delta Fox as well. As you can tell, I am having a great success with that team, just like Scarra. Reddit's favorite jungler.
Oh, yeah.
You talk about that at all in this broadcast yet?
I did. I was just like, dude, people don't hate me. They're just really passionate about the team.
Yeah, they just really like Cutie. They don't hate you, per se.
They just hate. Yeah, exactly. Wait, people are going to get... Okay, you know what? Okay, we're good.
We're good?
Yeah, okay.
Oh, it's too toasty in here. Maybe I'll put this back on in a second.
I just gotta edit this. No, I gotta edit this. Okay, we'll start at the top.
At the top. So the first series we're gonna cover is P1 versus C9. You're gonna stay down there the whole time? You're gonna come back up here?
I feel like I should go up there.
Yeah, I'll handle moving the arrow around from here.
Okay. All right. Wait, what is this thing doing in my spot?
I don't know. That's probably been there the whole... I didn't just put it there.
Hold on. Okay.
You weren't going to serenade us with some guitar?
Oh, I'm so good at playing guitar.
Oh, listen to those notes.
They plucked at my heartstrings right there.
Makes women weep.
One way or the other.
All right, settled in, ready to break down the first series.
Yes. Okay, so for people who never watch Greatest League Talkshow, we cover all the LCS games that happen in North American LCS. On Saturdays, we cover Friday and Saturday. So today we have 6 best ofs instead of 4, which will be tomorrow. First game, it's P1 versus C9. Luckily for Friday, these games, every game was a 2-0.
Yeah, because otherwise we'd be here for fucking ever. If the day wasn't late enough, we have 4 series of best of 3s.
That went the whole way.
Luckily for us, we are somewhat maintaining our Team Liquid ban.
That's what he said. I thought we were going to go with it. But you know what?
We'll figure it out when we get there.
Yeah,
for now, let's work on P1 versus C9. So like you said, 2-0 series going in favor of C9.
Whoa.
I lost my mind for a second there. What happened? Yeah, Phoenix 1 looking pretty bad. The story has basically been like, Inori doesn't look great. Their bot lane between Shady and Arrow does not look great. They get smashed game 1. Game 2, they bring back Meteos. Things are...
By the way, plays like more World of Warcraft than League. He's like Diamond 2 or 3 right now, and like...
doesn't care.
He just like doesn't care about playing that much. But like, they're so desperate, they bring him back.
So they bring him back, and the team does better. Not like Meteos does that well or anything, but the team looks better for whatever reason.
I thought generally he played okay, too.
He played fine. It wasn't like he was bad. It was just like the whole team played a little bit better. Not good enough to beat C9, so they lose 2-0. So we'll get into the Game 1 draft. And I want to tie this into the Game 2 draft because both times they early rotation Gragas. In Game 1, they first pick it. In Game 2, they first rotation it because they're red side in Game 2 and they go Gragas Thresh. The difference is Game 1, because Inori's in, he's better on carry champions for the most part. They take Kha'Zix and leave the Gragas for Zig. And the second game, they take the Gragas, put it in the jungle, and take Jace for Zig, who's kind of like a Jace one-trick. So
Yeah, I see the stylistic difference with each individual jungler. Just this game was really weird for me because, well, I don't want to focus too much on draft. So unless you have something else to say about that,
no, it's just worth noting that Zig, as much as he is, we call him a role player because he's not like a hard carry, but he will play carry matchups and get leads and play them correctly. He's just not like someday who's going to take Fiora into Renekton and
just 1v9.
Yeah, so that he's not quite that level, but he will play good carries like his Kled, like his Rumble, like his Jace.
Okay, so the thing that I thought about this series that was really interesting actually is that usually what happens is C9 plays around their mid lane a lot. Their jungle tends to just function around mid lane. This is the first series where I was like, oh, C9's doing different things. Like, I don't even blame P1 so much for losing this game because C9 literally hard camp bot lane.
Oh yeah,
I was so surprised. I was like, they've never done this before. This is like a new strategy. It sounds so dumb. Hey, pink ward this spot and send the jungler down here. But that's what they did, and they did it well to the point where like they just annihilated the other team. This game was over in like what 17 minutes.
I stopped taking notes at 17 minutes actually. That's exactly what I did because that was the final dive.
Exactly, and so this was the start of what could be something interesting for C9, where they start developing more ways to play out the game, especially early game, because it's something that they've always struggled with, being able to break first towers and just having generally shitty early games for their relative standing on the ladder.
And I think something that could be what's supplementing that is the playmaking supports. So Smoothie's a really vocal guy, but if you're Karma and like Lulu, here's what you say: I have priority in my lane. And
my E's up.
Yeah, and then if you have Thresh, you're like, I have a ward here. I'm gonna flash Lantern Flay. You come here, and we will set this gank up. And like, it just opens up the rest of the game so much if you're actually the vocal leader of your team and a playmaker, much like you see with CLG and Afro. You know, Smoothie's maybe not quite on that level in terms of like shot calling and importance for his team, but he is mechanically probably better. So they get Thresh this game, and all the plays are basically keyed off Smoothie for the most part. And a lot of it was on P1 as well, just face checking shit that they should not face check. Like that first kill is just Arrow walking into Smoothie and getting flayed back with an Olaf and bot river, and he just dies.
Right. I mean, and the second kill was Shady walking up, and then like walking up when he knows the jungler's there, just getting flayed and then dying, and you're just like, well, that probably shouldn't happen. Which speaks again to like one of the original problems I had with this team last split was that their bot lane's not very good in lane.
No.
And a lot of that is, I think, Shady not playing up to the level of Arrow a lot of times.
And for the most part, like, you would always say that his supports weren't great. Like, Adrian wasn't great, Stun wasn't great, Shady's not great.
I don't think he's had a top 5 support for a person who won MVP last split.
That said, he usually didn't look that bad either. So, like, with Adrian, you would say, well, they don't look like they have great synergy in lane, but he's playing Nami and pressing W on him, and they're getting out of lane. Now, they're really struggling, and I don't think it's fair to put it all on Shady, because I doubt Shady was like, hey, face check River Brush. You know, Arrow did that. He did that twice, the 17-minute dive being kind of the final one.
Yeah. You're right.
Maybe that was the 11-minute one.
You're right.
There's so many dives, I don't even know.
You're right specifically for this game. Arrow did have some ones.
For this game, yeah.
Which you're just like, okay, well, he messed up really bad. Like, especially the one where he walked through River and then warded and the Thresh was just right there. And he died. So, I do agree with you.
Stunt was good.
Yeah.
F you, Mark.
I don't think Stunt was that good.
Go watch the game versus C9 where there's a Malzahar in front of him and he runs at it with his Taric E channeling, and then it hits the spell shield and Malzahar kills him.
Or
and, like, literally a brain dead play.
Or the 5 or so times where he flashes in with Taric Stun and misses.
I mean, Stunt wasn't bad. Don't get us wrong, but like, let's not act like this kid was anywhere in the top half of supports in the LCS.
Like if you're gonna compare Smoothie with Stunt, and you're gonna say they're somewhat comparable, close to skill level, I would welcome you guys to rewatch the VODs.
Yeah. And like we said, that's not necessarily saying Shady was better or Adrian was better, but just generally, they haven't been working out that well. Anyway, so yeah, game 1 was just like a murder of bot lane over and over and over.
It was legit done in 20 minutes, less than 20 minutes.
Yeah, so we'll move on to game 2, and this time they give up the Zac, which is kind of surprising. I didn't hate the idea of it, just a little bit for what I think P1 was going for. You have Thresh up, and then C9 doesn't ban a jungler last, so I think they're waiting to see if they ban Zac, they ban Elise. And then instead of leaving both up, they ban the Elise, which I don't really like. And then they take Gragas again.
Okay, I actually like jungling because I could talk about this.
Oh yeah, you're Scarra, NACS jungler right here.
Oh, right here, superstar. Anyways, I could talk about this. So if you leave up Zach, you play two things in the Zach. Only two things work right now, from what everyone's or what I've talked to and people have talked to me about. So you play either Graves or you play Gragas. So the one thing about playing Gragas into Zach is that he can immediately stop all of Zach's initiations, which is what makes him good. However, if the Zach also has another form of initiation, something like, for instance, the last game we saw where he had Bard ulti to set up the play, it becomes infinitely harder for the Gragas to be able to control the Zach. In this situation, I actually thought P1 came out with a comp that was okay. When you look at the other team, they have what? Xell, Rakan, Renekton, Cassio. Rakan's not too bad in terms of like being able to like blindly initiate, and I think that Gragas would typically stop a solo Zach initiation.
Thresh as well. There were multiple times in this game where Shady actually played the team fight decently well, where he flays the Zach E, and after that, it feels pretty bad to play Zach from that point on if you get your E flayed, because you no longer have the 1 second knock up into the 1 second channel from your ultimate. So it just breaks a lot of Zach combos up, and he did it well. I do agree for what some of the criticisms I saw was like they're giving up a lot of power picks in order to get counter picks, which is something some teams do where they're like, this is good into that strong thing, I can do this. And then you do that 3 times, and then you're like, you got Gragas, Thresh, Kalista giving up Zach, Xayah, Rakan. It's like a little much, but I don't, like at least in terms of how they interact, it's not that crazy.
The one thing that I want to say is like different than what happens when a Nori plays the game. I feel like if a Nori falls behind and has like lanes that are all even or behind, he struggles to be able to find a way to make the play.
Yeah.
Whereas this game, what did Meteos do? Literally, he just takes Rift Herald, and he hasn't played long enough, so he doesn't know how to solo Rift Herald. Like if you watch him,
he's not getting the.
He struggles to run behind the Rift Herald by himself as Nunu to be, or not Nunu, Gragas to be able to break it himself. So his top player has to come down for it. He takes a Rift Herald. He literally just runs it down top and gets first tower while they're trying to get first tower bottom lane, and it works. And for all extents and purposes, he like kind of salvaged a really bad early game, and that's a play where I'm just like, Nori would not have seen that.
The thing too was C9 kind of got baited. Ray was like, "Oh, they're trying to drop this Rift Herald right in front of my face. I'll stop them from doing that." And then they just dove him in front, like with the Rift Herald. And then they took the turret. It's just like, well, what was Ray doing?
Yeah, it was a play where I'm like, this won't work, and it works. And you're just like, wow, I guess it works. And the thing is, it's like they needed to do something to be able to...
Because their bot lane was starting to get crushed again a little bit.
Exactly. And so it's just something where I'm just like, Meteos still has the idea of how to like play the game.
Even if he doesn't know what objective he's trading correctly, he's still trading correctly. He's like, I don't know what Rift Herald's going to do, but it's this big purple thing on the top side of the map and jungler's bottom, so I'm going to take it.
And the thing is, it's like, because I live with Yuna, he tells me that when like Meteos is in the game, because he's in the room listening to comms, he tells me Meteos is actually really good for morale, like for the team. And so like the team like likes playing with him for the most part, which I find it sucks because they're in a really bad situation where like their underperforming jungler is a jungler who like works every day with the team, and their jungler who's like performing okay is a jungler who like plays World of Warcraft and like for all extents and purposes doesn't care that much about.
That's how he's able to keep such good attitude, by the way, because like no offense to old Meteos, but he would get like really crabby with High back in the day.
Oh,
and then
yeah,
with Jensen, because he cared a lot about the game, and he's like, I think this is the right way to play it. I think my teammates are playing it wrong, and he would argue a lot. Now he doesn't give a shit, and so he's just like, nah, dude, we got this. Let's go. Like full teamwork, just because he's like, eh.
Yeah, and to be fair, he's still a good jungler. Like,
yeah, he's still good.
Everything I saw about this game, I'm like, he just came back to play Gragas. It's pretty good. I don't even remember his Gragas being good when he played. Like, he was good at... And oh, God, another thing that's bad is that right now in the current meta, all of Meteos' champion pool are all top tier.
Yeah, Zach,
Elise are the best two junglers, and then Olaf is playable.
Olaf's playable. Gragas is fine if you just want, like, some meaty tank guy. Like, all that stuff's fine. So, that said... the rest of the game was like kind of close. Shady, like I said, was playing decent once he got out of laning phase. There were some skirmishes that were really good around mid lane where they were able to clean up some kills as C9 kind of greeted for some turrets. And it was looking all right until 30 minutes. So like,
oh god,
they get P1 gets the first Baron. They get really close to taking the first inhibitor turret, but they back off with it at like 200 health in 30 minutes in the game. I was on the desk with Freak, and I was like, that would have been really nice to grab that inhibitor turret, because if you only have a 4K lead versus C9, I'm not convinced you're going to win another team fight. So you need like a better map advantage. And they didn't get it, and then like 2 minutes later, they lose a team fight.
It's especially bad because when you're sieging into stuff like Zach Rakan, it's terrifying.
It's like you're going to get jumped on.
Yeah, and what happens at 34 minutes, Rakan gets a god. Like, is it 3 or 4 man
So
knockout?
there's two fights. There's like one where Shady shouldn't take a hook in and kind of gets baited, and like the whole time Jensen's untouched on Cassio, just melting people. That's what gets C9 back in the game. And then yeah, the 34-minute one is like the nail in the coffin.
And then you look at like the stats behind me. I saw like the stats guy Optimus Tom tweet about it.
This is so funny.
He did 5,000.
Sneaky.
Yeah, Sneaky did 5,600 damage in that team fight alone, and Keith did 3,600 in the entire 28-minute game like that happened the week before.
And to be fair, you know, damage per minute is not the same between games. This is like a much longer game versus the TL one that Keith was in, where the TL just kind of died. That said,
no. That being said, it just shows how devastating the Wombo was. It literally got subbed to where like their AD could almost actually 1v5.
The funniest thing was, if you watch that team fight, it's not like Sneaky's like throwing in autos the entire team fight, melting people down. It's like he's kind of zoned away. The Wombo happens, throws his alt E, throws like 2 autos, and that's his whole team fight contribution. And it's almost 6,000 damage.
Yeah, it's just that Smoothie ended up setting up really well. I want to say, just in general for the series, the fact that playmaking supports are starting to become seen more and more only says good things for players like Smoothie, which have like are very versatile and multifaceted, so to speak.
Anyways, that's basically how the game ends. That massive Wombo combo, pretty disgusting. In terms of takeaways from the game, on the C9 side, not too many. P1's been struggling. C9 should win. The second game, a little bit of a struggle, but P1 looked closer to their third place form before, and so it kind of made sense that it was a struggle, and then you just see their dominant late game team fighting. So not too much of a takeaway for either team here.
The other thing that's interesting is that if they can convert into being able to pressure like every lane early game, just having more options is better. Like, I think that if they're able to drag all the pressure away from mid lane, Jensen can just dominate mid lane.
Yeah, we talk about how much Contracts plays around Jensen, but it's not like that's necessary. Jensen's not the kind of guy who needs a babysit to get like things done.
Yeah, okay. When you have one player who's better mechanically than another player, one player who lanes better. As the jungler, what I want to do is I just want to isolate the jungler. So if I can keep track of the jungler the entire game, that's my only job. I never have to even gank the lane because I trust the laner to just win by himself. And that's kind of how I feel about Jensen. It's like laning wise, best,
maybe the best. Like him and Froggen are 1 and 2 pretty close, I'd say.
Exactly. Like potentially best in the league, if not top 2, top 3. So if you have that type of player, it might be better to pressure other areas and just let him just like,
and only go to him when he's like, I can literally get a kill right now.
Yes. And so being able to have like that kind of versatility, really, really nice for C9.
All right, we'll move on to the second series of the Friday games. IMT versus Envy, baby.
Ooh.
This is another 2-0.
Of course we had to jinx this series because we had just put IMT at the very top of our power rankings the week before.
That was a mistake. Well, to be fair, what we saw out of them, but like I think we even said in that video, we were like, they're going to drop.
Yeah, this is going to change, but dropping in this fashion was pretty disgusting.
So game 1, I mean, this whole series, let's be honest, this was just like Immortals killing themselves. This whole series was just Immortals like losing their fucking minds.
Wait, really? That's what you're gonna say? I thought.
Well, there's 2 things.
Okay.
So that's the first one.
The second thing is Lyra's a god.
Lyra!
Oh my god! That first game, I was just like, this guy is actually gonna 1v5 the game. He's so good.
Just to jump ahead a little bit, I'm so happy that he didn't do well today, just so like this whole show isn't us like blowing Lyra.
Yeah, but I mean, like, imagine if he did and won this series. I wouldn't even mind, man.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind, but like at least we have other things to talk about.
But I mean, I wouldn't mind having a team where every time I talk about the team, the player just plays so well. I could do nothing but be like, wow, he played great. And the only comparison point I have is between him and his weaker form. Like the weeks when he's playing bad.
Oh yeah.
Like that's my only comparison points for how bad. Oh yeah, last week he played better, but this week he's like playing at 80% Lyra. He's sick this week.
Well, this series was like 100% Lyra.
Yeah,
then the other one was like 50% Lyra.
Yeah.
Anyways, this one, it's 2 things because like Immortals did so much dumb shit. Like game 1, they take the Blitzcrank into Varus and Karma, which is like okay. Because with the mobile mages or like characters in the bot lane, you can get a hook, you have gang setup, you have all-in threat. There's reasons to take it. And then they just go super hard on a level 2 or level 3 all-in, and like they don't get the kill, and then they're just chasing Karma up the river, and it's like, wait, Karma's cooldowns are so short. They're going to win this. And then, yeah, there they go. They give up a double kill.
And the worst thing is, at the same time, Xmithy does a great job at this early game, actually.
Yeah.
It's one of the few times where I was just like, oh, the top laner died level 3 under tower because they set up him and Flame set up a situation where the other top laner cannot live, essentially.
Yeah, there's a monster minion wave, you're already low, and then Galio and...
Just holds W.
Galio Lee, holds W. And this is big because Envy had this, J4 counter pick into the Galio that they instantly crush, and then J4 is in the back for the rest of the game, or should be.
And it's not even like instantly crushed as in like the first gank is all that happened. He comes back again, kills him again, and gets first tower top lane. So if their bot side did well, they would be in such a great position. But what ends up happening is they just hard feed into the bot lane. And that's actually a big reason plus Lir why this game went terribly, because the other bot lane just gets out of control.
Yeah, once they make that first mistake, Lira's like, wait, I can shit on this bot lane. It's a blitzcrank. And they just keep doing that. That said, there was 1-for-1 in the bot lane that wasn't played great by the side of Envy. But aside from that, like it was pretty brutal. And then, at like 9 minutes, they have this invade up to the IMT go deep into Envy's side, and they just like basically do a CLG.
Oh, where they throw their entire early game lead because they try to do a topside play, but I think it was great. It was good for them if the enemy support didn't come.
Yeah, so the Karma got up there first, and it's a 3-for-0 or a 4-for-1 or something.
It was something where I was just like, wow, they lost.
Yeah, and then later Pyrion like starts roaming because Pyrion's actually decent, especially when he gets like Ori. Wait, was he Ori that game?
He was Ori this game. They played Ori Jarvan, and they got a lot of picks off.
Yeah, that's right.
Off playing Ori Jarvan. Eventually, they slowly get picks. They come back. Lyra, at this point, like 70 CS out of the other jungler. Xmithy does some stuff where he kind of dies or kills himself here and there.
A couple times.
He is still their main playmaker, but he does kill himself here and there. And I think kind of Lyra and the bot lane take over the game with, of course, Pyrion doing a good job following up.
Yeah, and that's kind of Pyrion's role in the team, is just follow up on the rest of the team, and when that's all he's asked to do, he's pretty good.
And it's not just like he follows up on the team. One of the biggest strengths about Pyrion is he's a good roamer.
Well, when I say follows up, I mean like he's not creating his own advantage, but if you tell him like, hey, we can dive bot side, he'll go down there and capitalize.
Right, absolutely. But I just wanted to point out that like he's roaming a lot in these games.
Yes.
And that's like negating some of the leads from the other team, as well as being able to have him create his own type of pressure. And there's a lot of mid laners who like kind of just like lane and don't move. He's a person who that's not the case.
Yeah, who he lights, so Viper said in chat. I think that's how is a good way to think about him.
Probably more consistent in terms of mechanical execution, but less in terms of pop-off potential.
Right, like who he has like the 15-0 game sometimes on a Brilliant Soul or something, and you're like, oh my god. We haven't seen that out of Pyrion yet. And then the second game comes around, and then this is the game for me where I was like, Lyra's way too good. I thought game 1 was pretty good. Game 2 was nuts as well. Just like the gank mid, they like 3-man gank it. It's like a 1-for-1. Immortals like want to fight bot later. And then he just starts double killing bottom again and just killing them over and over.
To be fair, this is the first competitive Rek'Sai we've seen since the rework. And I actually thought Xmithy did a pretty good job. He started with the first 4 kills. It just so happened that like I think.
Well, like so, and Immortals goes down bottom, and like he gets a couple kills for like with like his ult's so dumb. I hate Rek'Sai ult.
I hate Rek'Sai ult because you can walk out of it.
You can just walk out of it, and then he like jumped like 2 feet trying to get a kill another time, and then things are like going okay again for Immortals, and then they just go way too hard on a bot side dive, and it gets turned once again.
And as soon as that happens, this game's just over. Because Xmithy has all the kills on the map. As soon as he gets picked bot side, and they get like hard cleaned up bot lane, they have nothing going for them.
The thing about new Rek'Sai is that it doesn't have the team fight potential. Like, old Rek'Sai didn't have good team fight normally, but at least you had your flash unburrow to like start a fight off, and then if you were strong, you could often solo out some backliners.
Additionally, it also had split push threat.
Yeah.
And so all of that got eliminated with this really one-dimensional, scrappy bruiser, which can kill stuff.
Which to tangent for a second here, I fucking hate that. Like, before, Rek'Sai was the efficiency queen. Like, the smarter you were as a player, the better you could use her. Whereas, like, I'm going to set up a good tunnel network, I'm going to split push with my ultimate, I'm going to make a play on the top side and ult back bottom to cover the mirror play on my bot side. There was a lot of unique stuff about her that didn't exist in the jungle anywhere else. And then they just killed it.
It did, however, make her super oppressive when she was strong. But I agree with you in the sense that I remember there's a reason why Reignover was like God at Rek'Sai.
Because it was literally like the smarter you are in this champion, the better it is.
And he had situations where you were just like, oh my God, dude, calm down. His Rek'Sai is like 2 levels ahead. He's like split pushing one lane, team fighting in another lane like 10 seconds later.
Oh, you throw 2v1s back in the mix? Oh, so smart. So much like potential to just take over the game through map play, and it's just gone in this champion. And it's like, hey, what if we threw an execute and made her like a little scrappier?
But you can sidestep it. What about that one?
Oh, that's pretty neat. Yeah, it's kind of lame that her knockup is now only like 1 target, and then the rest just kind of get knocked back.
Which I thought sucked. I would be fine if she actually had team fight like that presence.
Did they think it was broken? Like, I didn't think that was an issue ever. Where it's like, oh, the whole team's clumped up versus Rek'Sai, Flash and Burrow.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that was an issue if the other team was stupid. Like,
because it's the range was like 300. It wasn't big.
If you get initiated on by Flash Rek'Sai ulti, you probably got flanked, positioned terribly.
Yeah, and I don't know. They just took out so much from her kit. Like, her early game's pretty similar, but it still feels bad. Anyways, that said, the Rek'Sai Smithy, he like played it all right, but I just don't think the new champ's that good right now.
It's not a champion where you want to even be giving kills to, because I think that you can't.
Well, it's weird because his AD or her AD, if you build more now, because they switched her from total damage to bonus damage ratio, she does more damage if you build more damage. So you're supposed to get kills on her, so she's better at killing things, but she's still a crappy melee thing.
Yeah, she can't get all the kills in the game, which is what ended up happening. And then once that got turned, there's nothing left, because she can still farm, but she can't like team fight her way back, because she can't split push her way back.
Yeah, so pretty sad game. Immortals get 2-0'd, and they don't look good when they get 2-0'd either. They just fight too much. Pobelter's not playing well, and that a lot of their problems from Friday continued into today.
And some of the stuff that we saw Friday that was good, which was Pobelter playing really well, didn't happen today or Friday.
Yeah, and on the side of Envy, kind of what you expected. Lyra kind of hard carrying, and the rest of the team following up with him.
I think what you do want to say is that their bot lane has gotten what looks like to be pretty good. I really like both Apollo and Hakuho. They seem to be really working well together. They can close out games, actually. Like, their macro, not terrible. I think all the bot teams from last year, Dignitas, Envy, and Immortals, who all struggled at closing games, had no idea how to do Baron, are all successfully converting Barons. Even if it takes, 3 minutes too long, that's still pretty good.
They're not completely throwing at Baron.
Absolutely. And so we're getting into like a real scrappy summer split, and I love it.
It's only 2 weeks, or like the second week, but it's already like upside down enough that the teams actually, like the teams that are supposed to be good, have to fight their way back up to the top. Anyways, we'll cover both these teams again because they both played on Saturday.
Ooh. Okay, now we go Saturday.
And this is the Dig TSM. So Saturday's games, all of them went the full 3 games. We'll start things off with Dig and TSM. Woo! Shocking upset. Couldn't see this one coming. Dignitas beating TSM. All right, so I need to reread this because I remember Game 3 well. What happened Game 1? Oh, wait, Shrimp. Shrimp played for Chaser, and he's just like aggro as shit. He did like level 2 ganks all the time.
I love it. I think... Okay, he level 2 ganked bot lane, double F died. Cool. He came back bot lane again, killed him again, and I'm just like...
Yeah, and then he tried to do that as well. So we'll just go recap. He tried to do that again Game 2. Failed to do that. And then, Sven kind of inted a little bit, and TSM had a better comp. So after Dig's early game sucked, TSM should have won, but it still took them forever to win the game. And then Game 3, Someday just goes the fuck off.
Which, to be fair, he does a lot.
It tends to happen, but this one was particularly impressive because he's like... Oh yeah, you think you were an MVP candidate last Split Hunter? You think you were robbed? I'm gonna play Fiora until you're next and then shit on you. After I get solo killed, after I fuck up and give you 400 gold. I think it was First Blood. He's like, yeah, take that shit. I don't need it.
Oh god, yeah, that was brutal.
Anyways, Game 1, like you were saying, he goes bottom and camps double lift.
It's great. So I typically these routes are considered cheese. I don't care what you call them. If they work, they work. It doesn't matter. So he level 2's bot lane. They didn't expect it. Double lift dies. Great.
I think cheese, like to clarify the term a little bit, I think it's just like a mix-up for most of the time that people call it cheese. Like going 1 buff, red buff gank, or whatever is like, that's fine. That's not that cheesy compared to like, oh, I took a double melee bot lane and tried to level one all in you.
Exhaust Ignite.
That's cheese where like you're letting the whole game ride or die on that play. I call that cheese. This is like, if it works, I get punished and I'm behind in jungle. Which I think Shrimp is fine to do given the fact that they think they're up against a stronger team and need to get a lead right away.
Yeah, was definitely a play that if you convert, they could do a lot with. And they did a lot with it. Because not only what happens is they gank it once, like a lot of times with other junglers, you'll see them gank a lane and they'll blow sums and never come back. And I get really frustrated because that's like a thing where you're like, that's your advantage. Like, why aren't you going back to your advantage? And that doesn't happen. In some of the Friday games, that didn't happen. And in this game, that didn't happen because Shrimp just came back and killed Doublelift again.
Doublelift not looking too great this series overall, I'd say.
And on top of that, Shrimp even killed top lane. So
yeah,
like,
he
he's just
moved
all
around
over
the map. There was even like a skirmish mid. I think that was in TSM's favor though.
Let me mute that real quick, just in case.
Yeah, Jesus, I'm trying to run a show here, having your Skype go off on your phone. That said, Bjergsen was on Talia, and he did a good job moving around the map, trying to help his team back into things. So
I think he did probably the best on the team.
For sure. Because, I mean, Honster did all right once he started receiving the extra pressure, but it was because of him that TSM kind of got back into this game.
Okay, so I see this game as two things. So one, there was a huge disengage. Like usually what happens against TSM games against teams that are worse than them is that the worst team gets a lead, they start grouping up the siege, TSM finds like a flank, and they just crush them. Like it's just an ugly team fight where TSM comes out on top and they hold the belt. But this time, TSM tried to do that bot side, a full 5-man play, and they fails because they just disengage really well with Bard. This causes them to be able to like kind of just lose a lot of their like entire map because their top lane is pushing, their mid lane is getting pushed in, and Ken is just up there like crushing the tower. And so that was the one thing where you're just like, okay, wow, they're good enough to disengage correctly. And the second thing was TSM's a good enough team to trade objectives back. So like there was a kind of like a 3 or 4K gold lead in this game, and TSM just was able to like
negate it a little bit.
Yeah, they were able to get towers, either trade towers or actually just get towers for free, so to speak. They were able to squeeze the gold lead to a very small margin, something that they shouldn't have been able to do, but they did because they're just good.
Yeah. Now, with that said, Dig go for plays, which is the important thing, and I think one of the things that people credit currently, and maybe we'll find out this isn't really true, but people are crediting Big for coming in and just being like a little bit more of a shot caller and trying to lead the team into doing stuff. They had like one of the things they did this whole series is kind of just like force Barons on TSM, and TSM did not respond particularly well when there was like just a random Baron done. Which can be dangerous, but it worked out a lot of times.
I think they executed the Baron plays pretty well too. Like when you look at their Baron executions, for the most part, they get vision for it. They have control. They camp in like certain areas. Like I'm pretty impressed with how they ended up doing it.
Yeah. Do you have anything else for game one? Because it kind of just felt like after they got that Baron, TSM had a hard time holding on to the game.
Yeah, it was just the Shrimp show early. They transitioned it into good objective control of Baron. TSM tried to call their way back, and then they weren't able to.
Yeah, if Shrimp didn't have such a good early game and TSM makes those mid-game plays, they probably win, but they were working to get back in the game as opposed to extending a lead.
Speaking of which, we can go to game two.
So yeah, game two. Okay, so TSM blue side this time around. They run the Rakan Xayah. They try and camp it early on again for Dignitas. At least goes down there and doesn't get anything. And this
was a situation where Shrimp again goes bot lane early to get a gank off. And they just flubbed the 2v3 super bad. To the point where, like, Big dies for it.
Yeah.
And that's a situation where it's like, oh, you made the play, and it sucked. And Sven is even there. He's about to hard punch the play. And I want to talk about this, because everyone's talking about Sven just, like, hard inting at 8 minutes. Where he's...
Yes.
And the thing about this intent is, like, this one is the best int that he's done. I don't know. Oh, God. This is the way I say it. Yeah. Because... look at how it's set up. It's set up so well. They have good, They have great vision. They have a pink ward or a red ward, whatever. A good ward right side of the mid tower tier 1. His support just came in with him to be able to make sure everything's okay. He has the initial ward to be able to scout the enemy player coming in. It's set up really well.
He even stole the blue buff without handing it over to Bjergsen to make them think that maybe the blue is still up.
Yeah, so like. This is an invade where I'm not even mad it failed because I feel like he did it correctly. His lanes are shoved in as well, so I look at this invade and I'm like, this is not as bad as some of his other ones.
And what happens is
he doesn't.
ᵐᵉ wards the brush, sees it, just chunks him out really hard, and then the mid laner for dig, ᵐᵉ has the inside track.
Yeah, and so they collapse better. But this is one of the times where when he does feed, it's like one where I'm okay with because he hasn't done like this many steps to prepare it before. I think he overestimated his single target damage. He thought he'd just be able to pop the other jungler, but he didn't go. He had a good ward on it. There's no reason why ᵐᵉ should have been able to get the ward down before getting initiated on. But he was. And that was like what actually made it really bad.
And one thing I'll say about this game too is I think ᵐᵉ messed up going this hard for bottom because what happened in the draft was pretty interesting. TSM take Galio early on, Dignitas take Renekton to counter it, and then TSM have the choice to take something else top because Galio can struggle into Renekton, or they can put it mid and put something else top and beat it up. And instead they take the Talia again, and instead of trying to punish the Galio with Elise Renekton and maybe like create an advantage there, ᵐᵉ just goes way too hard bottom. And it never really hurts them to the point where like the game gets totally out of control, but you would expect them to punish topside a little bit more, especially when it's like, okay, Varus Braum, what's the point of camping double lift in that lane? Like, you're never going to suddenly start smashing that lane. You know what I'm saying? Like, Varus Braum is not like a snowball bot lane.
I think it's possible if you get a lead that at 6, they can just dumpster the other lane. Like, I don't think it's that much out of the realm of possibility that camping the lane is that bad. But I do think of Renekton and Elise. This is the all-star duo top lane combo where the other laner doesn't get to play the game. He just dies.
Yeah, and they just never went up there until 10 minutes. And then the one time he went up there, TSM just traded for bot turret and get that first.
Yep.
Anyway, so TSM do a good job once again kind of trading. They're really good in the mid game for sure. And they trade out a lot of things. The game gets like surprisingly scrappy. And TSM can't actually definitively win team fights with a much better late game comp, which is scary.
They were very fortunate that their bot lane ended up getting a lead, largely due to the fact that they were able to turn the gank from before. Because as they ended up getting a lead, their comp was
Did I say stick save? What the fuck are people talking about?
Oh.
What?
Did I say stick save?
Did one of us say save?
I have no idea. If it happened, not a big deal.
Whatever.
But, I think that like largely this game was just based on like inherent comp synergies.
Yeah.
Rakan, Galio just like blew up the game.
Yeah, Xayah is crazy.
You're right.
Game.
Those three alone can hard carry a team comp, and they did. That's essentially what happened.
That said, like Cassio's still good late. ᵐᵉ actually had a pretty good game overall. He got to that collapse first, like we were saying, and he mostly played team fights well.
I thought ᵐᵉ generally had a good series.
Yeah, that's true. I think let's take a moment to talk about ᵐᵉ here. He's one of those guys who like is so frustrating to talk about because he'll go even with Bjergsen for the most part and even outperform him in some games in terms of like team fight like presence. But then in other series he just looks fucking boosted and like the middle ground does not exist. Either play series like this where he goes well like toe to toe against Bjergsen for the most part. I think Bjergsen's a lot better series, but he's not getting exploited. And then sometimes he just like looks like an idiot.
I think as their team generally gets better, hopefully he'll have more and more of those consistent good performances and less of the bad ones.
That's what you would hope.
Yeah, that's what I would hope. But, I mean, he's done an okay job so far. This series means that he did, like, a great job this series. His Cassio looks actually really good.
Yeah, and Bjergsen, once again, was pretty good over the course of this game with the Talia.
Bjergsen was just really – he's a good player. What do I say?
Good player.
Yeah, great player.
Excellent analysis. All right, you ready for Game 3?
Oh, yeah. Game
3, baby. The Someday show. They take their Renekton early on this time for TSM, saying, pick something into it. We don't care. They ban Shen as well, and then they're like, great, whatever. We'll just have pressure on the top side. Dignitas takes out Malzahar for mid lane. First Malzahar we've seen. You probably have some thoughts on that.
Yeah, I can talk about this.
And then, obviously, Someday takes the Fiora. Give me the Malzahar thoughts first.
Okay,
because it wasn't a big factor in the game. He didn't ult for like a long time.
So generally what I think about Malzahar is that against any top mid that has any kind of immediate damage ability, he sucks. He'll get CS deficits because when you push him in the lane, against lower level players, what happens is you get pushed in the lane and you'll be able to summon your Void Lane spot, and they won't be able to clear it fast enough. Like they won't clear it fast enough, so you'll be able to farm back your leak. You'll just let them push first and you'll take the farm after. But against good players, what happens is they just clear your Void Lanes under tower and harass you at the same time. If they're able to do that, every single game against all the meta mid laners, you should take a 20 CS deficit, give or take. 10 to 20 CS. And so that's kind of what happened this game. I think he got like a 20 CS deficit.
Yeah, there wasn't much attention in the mid lane either over the course of the game. ᵐᵉ started the game off with a pretty interesting route again. He went blue buff straight to red.
And he stole it, yes.
Yeah, he used Lee Sin to hop the wall, steals the red from Sven. He didn't punish it that hard because he ran across mid lane to get down to his bot side jungle, and then he did Raptors while Sven did red, and just kind of let him take it back. Which I don't know if I want to say it was completely wrong, because against an Elise, if you're on red getting a little low, and I don't think he had Smite, I can see it going bad. So he just went to secure his Raptors instead. And I don't know, it was kind of weird.
This game was... How do you define this? This game was Sven getting hit with Ash arrows? Like, that's kind of how...
There's two things that happen. One is like all the topside stuff, and then the other one is Sven just dying over and over.
So topside stuff first. Haunter solo kills.
Haunter solo kills him at like 4 minutes.
Really good play.
Yeah, great job. Excellent. And then he like greedily stays in lane or something, and someday just all-ins him at 6, and he just spends the entire all-in trying to run away and trying to make it to Sven, and he almost makes it to Sven in time, but then he dies. And ᵐᵉ comes up there and covers the escape. So he gets a kill. And then eventually they gank top again and get another kill.
What do you have to say about ᵐᵉ for this game? Thought he played pretty well. Again,
overall, I liked what he was trying to do. He was trying to get in Sven's face, hold the Elise down a little bit, as well as make plays around the top side. Overall, that's what you want to see. Given that, like, even if you're not killing the Renekton with the Fiora, you just want to be making sure he gets out of the lane fine so that he can hit that 2-item split push when he really starts beating Renekton.
Yep, so Sunday played the matchup really well from a full solo kill behind and was able to create a lead, got camped, cool, and then mid-game comes around, Sven gets hit with a bajillion Ash arrows. Kind of what happened.
Yeah, and eventually I think it's like 20-something minutes he gets hit by one and dies, and Dig's like, all right, well, we'll just Baron. You don't have a smite. And it's like pretty scrappy. They need to like run out and try and live as best they can, but they still got the Baron gold. They still have Baron buff on a couple people. I think Fiora was alive.
I think they traded like quite well there too.
They still got a couple kills. It was just scrappy overall because they're forcing 4v5 Baron relatively early.
And I think as a team that's expected to be worse than TSM, them having a series be scrappy and them winning is good for them. Whereas like TSM, you're just like, I thought it'd be a little bit better, you know. It's a 3-game series, so you could say the series is close. But in the games where TSM lost,
they look not bad from like an NALCS level perspective, but from like what you would want out of your previous #1 team who should have had a roster upgrade.
Yes, like exactly. Like they've lost already too many games, more games with Doublelift than I'd expect after 2 weeks.
Yeah,
like
and to be fair, like the team took some time off. We expected them to come into the season and start slow, but they're dropping. Like if they dropped a Series C9, I think we would have been like, all right, cool.
Drop the CLG. I mean, they're looking good.
Yeah, it's fine.
Start dropping stuff to Envy, Immortals.
Dig. You're kind of like, what's going on here? And so, I mean, it's a little surprising considering Immortals really didn't look that good this week.
Oh yeah, and well, they still have another game tomorrow, so we can just hold back judgment. But for now, the only good thing I will say about this series is that they had a good situation where if they're the first game at least, they at least were able to trade their way back up, and that's what a good team does from behind. If you're losing the game against a good team, they should be able. You should claw for everything. Like you should work for it.
Yeah.
And last season, TSM did that in playoffs, and C9 couldn't really do that, and that really what showed like kind of the difference, in my opinion, between the level of teams. This season, they still have that, but I'm just hoping for something a little bit more out of their team. Like, just having Doublelift didn't fix their problems.
Bjergsen's passive playstyle is the problem.
Oh, God. I don't know if did someone say that?
Yeah, it's right in
Oh, God. I thought you said that on purpose.
Oh, I thought you would. If
God.
I actually said that seriously, slap the shit out of me.
I was just like, dude, this guy's going like 4-0 every game.
He's like roaming on Talia, like helping get his Kennen ahead.
18 minutes, and then his jungler's dead half the game. Like,
yeah, what do you want to do? He's on Karma because they didn't know what the Malzahar pick did, so they flexed it. And like, what do you want him to do with Karma? He just shoots some powered Qs.
Yeah, it's not like he played the matchup bad too. You got like big CSF, so exactly what you're supposed to do, but like, I think Bjergsen is probably one of the last people I talked about. Like,
yeah, what the fuck's going on with Haunter? He's supposed to be the potential MVP candidate. He's been getting slapped around.
Let's not even talk about Sven. Doublelift didn't have like a great. I saw the second game, like almost like Bjergsen most consistent this series. I thought he played great. He was a better mid laner between the two of them, and if you had to rate him in terms of like player performance, he's right up there with top 3 as well.
Yeah, I don't know what you're smoking, friend. But I want some. No, I don't want some. It makes me dumb. Anyways, moving on to the next series, Fox versus CLG.
This was such a close series.
All right, let's talk about these games a little bit, just because like I'm watching 2 games on the analyst test. I'm taking notes. I'm all over the place, and both these games are like synced up. And there was the first draft between TSM and Echo Fox, or like between the 2 series, were identical. Where it's Kennen, Talia, Ivern, Karma, and then one has Lucian and one has Kate. And I'm trying to watch 2 games, and they're on opposite sides of the screen, so they're right next to each other, and I'm just no idea what the fuck's going on between the 2 games. No one else watching understands the struggle. Scarra has been on the analyst desk. He understands this struggle.
Being an analyst for NA/LCS is terrible, especially with having a show right after the NA/LCS. If it was like the day after where we can compose the thoughts, rewatch the VODs, it'd be really nice. But for me, I constantly have to like switch back on YouTube and be like, 2 times speed, what happened there? And as I'm watching this, I missed what happens in the other game. Today was just such a terrible day for it because they went 4 full best of 3.
And they were always synced. It was never like one game ended and the other one is like done, and then you're, the next one's starting, you take the draft down, the other one comes out of break, and you take the draft down. It's like, holy shit, today was brutal.
All right, so what do they talk about this series? This series, Echo Fox pulls in their Challenger Series jungler Grigne.
Which, the reasoning I heard was basically Grigne really wanted to play versus CLG.
I'm down. Like, I don't even mind it that badly. Like, I think
he played all right.
Yeah, he played all right. Minus the first game. I think the first game was the game where like he wasn't able to really impact the game as much, and Dara kind of took over the game in terms of like relative impact.
Yes. So yeah, game 1 not really his fault. Game 2 and game 3, because like Echo Fox relies on Acadian to do well. If Grigne's not doing well, then the team struggles. In game 2 and game 3, he did stuff. He did all right.
Yep. So. First game. Grigne plays Ivern against Rengar, which, by the way, we're seeing a little bit more Rengar priority than I thought. I thought the champion was dead in the water, but apparently not.
If you're good at Rengar, you can still kind of play it. Moon busted it out today. Dardoch busted it out.
It's a Reignover character. It's a Chaser character. We're seeing like half the junglers play it.
Maybe a stretch on that third one. So when I talk about the similarities in these 2 comps being almost identical minus the AD carry, this is why when people say like Bjergsen's passive, I'd be like, did you watch Froggen's Talia game? I didn't see him ult to snowball the Kennen at all. Whereas like Bjergsen made concentrated efforts to be like, getting the Kennen ahead is a vital part of our comp. Grigne made a couple plays trying to like flash, get some roots off, didn't ever turn some kills. And then I watched Froggen, and he never and this is not me saying Froggen's always a passive player, but I'm saying in this game you saw why he gets that negative stigma, because you're playing this global champion and never snowball your split pusher.
Yep. To be fair, he is when you're playing against Rengar past 6 and your jungler didn't get the lead. In fact, I would say the Rengar got the lead.
Yeah.
It's pretty scary. If you can see the kind of what happened at the very end of the game when Rengar jumped on the Froggen, I think he got 1 hit.
All right, let's be fair. 10 minutes into the game, he's not doing that.
Yeah, that's true.
He's not critting you for 1,000 damage 10 minutes into the game.
That's true. So, as Grigne wasn't able to convert his early game into like impactful things around the map, Dardoch slowly starts taking over the game.
He gets a dragon early.
Yes, they end up having like good double infernal. This seemed to be.
They had by the end of the game triple infernal and a mountain.
Yeah, it was disgusting. And the thing is, on the other game, it was also infernal mountains only. So I was just like, I was with you on this. I was like, these games are confusing playing back.
Yeah,
to
you're
back.
trying to figure out what the fuck's going on, and it's like the same games being played on 2 screens. Dardoch goes top eventually, gets a kill. There's some dragon shenanigans where like Echo Fox is kind of forcing around dragon, and then CLG forces them off, and then Dardoch goes for this really random flank at like 200 health, and like if anyone sees him, he's dead.
He gets it off,
and he somehow makes the flank work because Darshan like inted for him to take all the attention, and it was just like really weird.
And before that series, didn't Looper just TP in and kill himself as well? Like,
straight
into 4 people.
Kennen just TPs into 4 and insta dies.
So you're just like the entire time you're just like, oh, this is not a clean game. Like this is
no.
But in the end, like COG just starts getting like the better.
Yeah, who he gets a pick mid. Froggen fails his top and gets killed by Stixxay. Slowly over time, CLG's lead gets really big, and then Dardoch starts going off.
Yeah,
like quadra kill, Rengar, 1,000 damage crit off.
You're seeing his item build. It's all damage. His defensive item is Cleaver, which is 400 health.
You could even say like maybe he should have gotten more defensive, but they did have Galio as a frontliner, so it's not that bad.
Yep, but I thought this was probably Grigne's worst game. Oh, I'm sorry. His name is Grig now because his original name is not usable in LCS.
Why is that?
Because it's an anagram of a word that apparently does not want on the desk.
I don't think anyone wants that anyway.
I agree with you. I just didn't realize it until I was like, oh, they made him change his name.
Yeah, I thought you weren't going to say that on your channel, but I guess you can.
What? I didn't say anything bad.
Okay, you're right. Not bad. Just... Anyways,
we've gone way over that line when it comes to this show.
Yeah, what am I saying? I've said some stupid shit. Anyways, game 2 rolls around, and then this time Grigney has a good game. Grig has a good game. He has an invade and gets a kill, like moving around the map well. It gets traded back, but he kills Darshan at his blue, Dardoch at his blue. And this is a path I can't remember the last time I saw it, and I'm surprised I don't see it more. You go, using Lee's mobility, you start your red, hop the wall to their blue, take that, and then take their Gromp for level 3.
Oh, yeah, it's actually something that's...
And then you sit in the brush and wait for them if they're doing Raptor Red Star.
That's more along sides of, like, new openers. It's something where a lot of people stop doing because of how good Wraith XP is.
Yeah.
And so if you don't get this, like, counter jungle, then you tend to fall really far behind.
Yeah, and either way, it works out. It was just... I hadn't seen it on the Lee before. He gets a kill, and... The only problem is who he has mid-priority, and I think Darshan at top, so he just gets collapsed on.
Yeah, like he may have been able to run out the right side with his mid laner, but he didn't get to that, and then he just died.
It gets pretty scrappy after, like, Dardoch turns a kill mid.
Before we get too far away from draft, I want to ask you about the especially CLG's support pick, Zyra. When I saw this draft where Zyra gets picked in the last 2 picks, what does Zyra accomplish in this game, actually? Because I don't think Zyra can do anything. Zyra is a champion that generally is there to be able to stop melee divers and low range threats. So it's really good into stuff like Ryze, stuff like even like maybe Cassio, Lucian. But when you're playing against Caitlyn, Rumble, Taliyah, you're actually going to die before anything happens.
So to be fair, he didn't see the Taliyah before, but he saw the Rumble, which is like the big one.
The Rumble, Kate alone makes the pick hard to play, in my opinion.
I think they just wanted to secure a good bot lane, so like Varus Zyra is pretty strong.
And I guess into Galio Lee, it's okay.
Yeah, I mean, like if they jump on, like Lee Sin and Galio have to expend resources to kill you, and if they're doing that, that means they're not hitting the rest of the team, which is like not a big deal. But then Rumble just fucking ults you and you die, and he probably hits some other people too. So picking it with the Rumble already shown is surprising. We didn't even talk about the fact that Echo Fox pick Galio, Taliyah, and Rumble, so they flex the Galio to support.
I love this, by the way. Which Galio right now is pretty strong here. He's tuned very well. Let's put it that way.
You are so complimentary.
Oh yeah.
For how you could be putting this.
Okay, Galio's broken.
There you go.
So the fact
there you go.
the fact that Galio is both a top tier mid laner and a top laner, and literally his only counter pick top lane is Fiora. Everything else at best soft counters him. He's pretty good.
Yeah.
The fact that you can flex him to support and still be a top tier melee support or top tier melee support.
Yeah,
kind of ridiculous.
And I'm surprised we haven't seen it yet, because from what I saw, it looked okay. You have like a little bit of Q harass in lane. You have good gank step with your EW. I do think you need to gank it. Like you can't just sit there and Q farm, or like not Q farm, but Q harass and do that over and over. And then he's not nearly as tanky as you'd want him to be, like a traditional Galio mid or top. So you do kind of need to be playing well with it. But I think as a flex pick, if you do it at the right time, I think it's good.
Oh, it can come out great. So when I saw the early Fiora pick, I'm just like, this is going to get flexed to mid for sure.
Yeah.
And it didn't, because then they didn't want like the mid matchups to got flexed to support. Which I think...
Is the Ori matchup that bad for it?
No,
okay,
it's completely playable. Okay, but talking more about the game, this is a game where actually I felt like their bot lane played pretty bad. Stick just face check bushes.
Keith played well in laning phase.
Yeah, and so did Gate. And the two of them alongside, but two of them ended up still playing bot when Stick made mistakes. Plus the jungle came down. Stick face check a bush. By the way, the Galio support chucked him to like 30% by himself.
Yeah, you get an EQW taunt off. You're just like, oh my god.
Yeah, which I think may be a problem by itself, but whatever. Yeah. So the jungler comes back, kills him, and Stick starts 0-2 with Keith coming out of lane, going top lane, and ending at like 14 minutes 5-0, with Gate being 0-5. And you're just like, wow.
Yeah, the two of them were working really well together. Fox, they're still trading dragons back and forth. And I think just overall, they were looking pretty good. I think like the comp made sense for the most part.
I liked it that like with COG like did a punch, they did a play which Dardoch killed mid lane. then like, okay, well, the enemy Fox's top laner comes in, kills their mid lane, you know? I like that it was like kind of blow for blow, and then they got a lot of action bot lane, and that's what was able to help them win the game. Like, it wasn't a game where it was like, oh, like they just had like a really easy comp to play, or like they just able to like do like a very one-dimensional thing. It was kind of, they were able to play the game up to CLG's level, so to speak.
Yes,
and play well.
This is kind of the second time in a row, and part of me feels like it's on CLG, that with a split-pushing Fiora, Echo Fox was able to keep drawing her to fights. There were a number of 5v5s that, like, to be fair, Darshan played well and was able to clean up a lot of kills in them, but it was still like, oh, Darshan's in another fight, CLG are in another 5v5 with a split-pushing Fiora, and you're like, why are they always in fight? Like, let Fiora just work.
It's really hard for me to critique this and say that it's bad, because in this specific situation, he's literally dealing with a bot lane that started 5-0.
Right, so what I'm saying is, like, the four-man core is weak. When, like, you have, you know, Varus, Zyra, you're picking that for lane, then to put them into mid and let them kind of hang out there with Orianna while you 4-1. Like, but they fell behind. And I understand, like, Echo Fox was kind of forcing Darshan down there, but it did feel like at times CLG was looking for engages as well.
Right. It's definitely a little bit of each. I do think there was at least one moment where he could have split push a lot harder, but there are a lot of moments where I'm looking at that, I'm like, he has to TP here.
Yeah.
Or else they literally get just aced almost without him.
Mm-hmm. So that's what we were saying with Echo Fox kind of playing up to CLG's level for the most part. And this is really good to see, especially after game one, where it felt like they didn't do anything. And they kind of rolled over and died because they were on like the passive champions, and Froggen's not moving around the map, and it was like, oh, this is old Echo Fox's problems all over again.
And this game, Froggen played great.
Oh yeah, Froggen went off.
Froggen played really well. They did a lot of work. The only thing I will say is that even though Ballin got a pretty big lead, part of the reason why this game took so long for Echo Fox to close is because Keith just getting picked, just kept getting picked in bad positions.
From 5-0 to 7-4 or something.
Yeah, so he died bot lane, he died like mid lane,
he died top jungle.
Yeah, it's just like all over the place. So I think that he definitely is playing maybe not way better, but better than last split. But still something you have to be like, okay, dude, you got the lead, like just be careful.
And that's something that tied into the first game. Actually, was he had really low damage numbers again. He had like 8,000 damage on Lucian in a shield comp. And like if you're playing Lucian in a shield comp, you kind of need to go nuts. And this was not like a game where he was behind. Echo Fox just didn't pick fights well, and he played really safe. And so I think, like you said, he's playing better, but he still has some room to go, because you would likely still put him bottom half. Maybe not worst AD carry.
No,
yeah, but
he's someone where, okay, he's improving. I liked what I saw of him at the beginning, but still some problems. It's okay.
Yep. So then we move on to Third game. Anything in the draft stand out to you?
The Sedge pocket pick.
A lot of stuff stood out to me.
The Kassadin.
I actually love this decision to go with the Kassadin instead of the Rakan. So in the last phase of the first rotation, CLG's red side, they have one pick available. They already have Xayah locked in, and the enemy team's already showing LeBlanc. So you have to choose between securing, your strong combo bot lane with Xayah Rakan, or you get Kassadin for the counter pick against LeBlanc. Kassadin was way more important, as it turns out, over the course of this game. And then the Blitzcrank was just so fucking random. I fucking hated that pick, actually.
Completely just...
I don't know why. So you see LeBlanc, Lee, Kennen, a split pusher who has an ultimate that you can turn on if you pull him in, and then two mobile-ass champions, and you take Blitz blind. You're supposed to take it into a mobile champion
just a comfort
who
pick.
You can blow up.
And it's not even like they showed their support, because it's a champion you want to play into stuff like, for instance, Sona support. Really, really squishy stuff.
Yeah, all-in stuff.
Things like Nami, things that you could actually kill. Instead, they gave the other player the ability to just pick whatever they wanted. And to be honest, they picked Sedge, which could have been a lot worse. Like, it could have been like Kench. Could have been something where it's like, did you just completely negate the pick? Yeah,
so I was surprised not to see Kench, because Gate has a good Tom Kench. Oh, it was banned. That was smart by them. Never mind. Go fuck yourself. Don't confuse me.
Well, I'm just saying, like, as possible.
Yeah. Like, even like a Braum or something is traditionally considered strong.
Any of the melee supports generally do really well into it.
And Sejuani is a melee support. It did work out in lane, because a lot of the times, this is Gate's fault. He played too far forward and got kind of pulled into turret range and almost died. I don't think they got a solo kill, but they almost killed him a number of times. You know what I thought about what I was thinking about this draft? If they flexed LeBlanc to support here and pick Lucian mid, they would just hard win.
But that was just...
That's your Delta Fox talking, dude.
Yeah.
That is your Delta Fox showing. Ease up here. This is Echo Fox, not Delta Fox.
I'm just saying, if they had the flexibility of Shifter in the support role, this game would be free for Echo Fox. Just like...
Damn, you call him Gate out like that.
I'm just saying.
And then the thing was, like, they were hiding the Graves pick. They weren't even hiding, like, a great pick. Like, what changed between Varus and Sejuani that's like, oh, now we can take the Graves as opposed to the Blitzcrank? I don't know, whatever. Let's get into the actual gameplay. Dardoch had some good pathing, like the top clear into gank topside. Not many people do the Raptors red Krug start.
It's something that I've talked to actually Grigney about. He's saying that, and he says a lot of people don't do it as well. It's guaranteed 3 and you gank top lane. It's for very volatile top lane matchups, like for instance a Kennen matchup where they don't get E till level 3. And by level 2, you can be up there at 2.
And that's what happens. Is Darshan starts off. He gets up there before the Kennen wards. Doesn't have E. They chunk him out, and then Darshan. They both flash follow for the early kill. Good coordination between Darshan and Dardoch. And then I think something really interesting happens in this game where they trade turrets, and then Echo Fox goes into the long lane with their bot lane, and it's like that old 2v1 situation where you have teleport. And your AD carry is like walking this wave up, and he's just extended in the long lane.
Does he just die?
Yeah, CLG just teleports. They just teleport on top of him and kill him. I was like, that's the old 2v1 play. They only get a 2-for-1. It's not that game breaking, but it just brought me back. I had a little nostalgia trip when I saw it. Anyways, it's a scrappy ass game. There's a lot of kills back and forth. Darshan got really farmed, or excuse me. Looper got really farmed, and I feel like that was kind of like what forced CLG's hand and kind of what helped get them back into the game a little bit. Because CLG was losing turrets around the map, the Kennen was pressuring harder and harder, and CLG was like, we need to make plays, and they actually were able to make some plays.
I do want to say that even though Blitz wasn't a great pick,
he used it well.
Yeah, it's like a situation where if they're behind, Blitz is one of the X factors which can swing games, even if you have like really bad deficits. This is a game where
they were like 4K down.
Yeah, Echo Fox was gonna win. Like
yeah.
They had a clean lead with a comp that was good. Like their comp they have no way to deal with Kennen at one point. Like Kennen.
Well, they can throw everyone down there and double TP back to Baron. Oh wait, that's how they won the game.
Okay, you're right, but.
That's Echo Fox's fault.
To be fair, that Baron wasn't like wow, that's a great Baron to do. In fact, let's talk about that Baron. So the way the game was lost was because this Baron sucked.
It sucked. Okay, you're playing LeBlanc. It is easily the worst Baron taking champion played in the mid lane right now.
Yeah, it's definitely up there. I'm trying to think of something worse, but
Syndra's better. Everything that has any spammable Q is better, which is like every mid lane mage right now. Lucian's better.
Even Galio's better.
Galio's probably better.
Yeah, so there's nothing.
Yeah, so CLG, they don't have teleport on Gragas at that point, I think. And they send a bunch of people down to the bot lane to kill the Kennen. And then at the same time, Cassin's probably as bad. Good point. Anyways, they send a bunch of people down, they kill the Kennen, and then they run everyone topside. And because Echo Fox is so slow at taking the Baron, Dardoch gets in range to steal it, and who he had teleported in, they're chunking them all low.
Smites gets the Baron, and they convert a 4-for-0. Actually disgusting. To the point where you're just like, oh, CLG wins the game.
Instantly win the game.
Yes.
And then off that, he was like having an okay game, and then out of nowhere, he has a monster game.
Yeah, and this is a situation where if you're playing Sedge and you're behind the item curve, like support Sedge is not a champion that's tanky. So if you're ahead of the other team, it's fine. One, he started like 0-2, so he's not like super far ahead. His team is ahead. And once you throw that much into the enemy team off like that huge throw, you could see what happened mid lane when they're sieging. He gets hooked, just explodes, instantly dies.
So one thing chat's pointing out that apparently we missed on the analyst test. Did you see that Afro hooked Grigney away from the Baron for Dardoch to steal it?
No, but that sounds like a great play.
I need to watch it for myself before I believe people that that's what happened. But enough people have said it that I think the majority can't be this wrong.
No, great play by Afro.
So great play by Afro. We saw that. It was a great play, Afro. We acknowledge it because we saw it.
Still shouldn't have done a 50-50 like that if you're Echo Fox. Just a heads up.
Yeah, it's still not. It's like
still not a great. Like,
half of them are gonna die there anyways.
Yeah, like probably a terrible play. If they get the Baron, they still probably get wiped.
He was still in range, says more people. Baited. Whatever. Whatever. All right. CLG, who he pop off. and it's basically over.
It takes a while to defend the close because on one of the pushes top lane, Afro flashes to hook the Sejuani.
Oh, and he just pulls it.
And he pulls the Sejuani and
he
dies.
He wants to hook. I think he wanted to hook Lee, or maybe it was Kennen or something. Either way, he hits
something where you're just like, wow, that play was bad.
That was not a good idea.
So their siege got stopped, and it took a little bit longer for them to close out the game. Okay.
Overall, a really good game. Or I shouldn't say really good, but it showed CLG was more aware of how to play out the late game than Echo Fox.
And a lot of promising things from Echo Fox too, because
yes, it was close.
It was close in a way where you're just like, oh, like they're using a new jungler, something where you're just like, oh, they're already gonna lose because one of their win conditions is off the game.
Yeah,
but they played a lot of the games well, and I like that they still have the same thing as before, where they're typically kind of decisive around Barons. Even if it's like a 50-50, by being more decisive, they force the enemy team into making like a hard call a lot of times.
Yeah, like that was a close Baron steal. It wasn't like Dardoch was sitting over the wall watching this Baron's health bar tick down, which is some stuff that they used to do. So it's an improvement for sure. Moving on to the second to last game of the day, series of the day. Did you have anything you want to say for CLG? I think they struggled versus Echo Fox, which was a little surprising, but not in a way that like made me feel bad about them.
Same.
All right, MV versus Liquid. We said Team Liquid is banned from being covered until they start improving.
Okay.
So with that in mind, we're going to go through this one really quick. MV won the series. It was a 2-1. That's fine. That's cool. That's everything. That's neat. The one game TL won was because they put Golden Glue on Galio, the most brainless mid lane champion who actually just turns into a tank. And they were able to win the game because of that, and Piglet played decently. And then instantly they forget everything they learned in the draft. They let Pyrion get Talia again, his best champion. They leave the Galio in the top lane, and then for some reason they pick Lucian mid and lose the game. Game 3. Yeah,
I will focus a little bit about this series in that I could say, like we said before, Lir had a bad series. Like this is
that's worth talking about.
This is like a bad series from Lir.
This isn't like he was, kind of invisible in the early game. It was like he was dying early, missing ganks, losing 2v2 mids. I think TL might have won a 2v2 mid every game pre 10 minutes.
It was something where you're just like, chill, Lyra. You're actually like not like stop ganking. Just like farm or something.
Yeah, like TL's not going to crush you guys. Like chill, you're good. Now that said, Apollo looked really good. Pyrion still looked decent. I think the Pyrion champ pool is like a little bit of a concern for me, maybe because he only has looked good on Talia and Ahri so far. But if people aren't going to target that, then like okay.
And their other mid laner starts playing next week, so
I'll be interested to see if they use him right away.
I actually will be too,
because Pyrion speaks Korean, so that's pretty nice. Given Seraph, Violet, the coach, as well as Lyra. As well as looking good so far, not just in terms of like behind the scenes intangibles, just legitimately playing well.
I just wanted to say he would look good if he just sat mid and just wave cleared, but he's roaming a lot, and so I like that. I love that. That's why they win some of their games.
He does unique things too with the champion. Like, okay, he killed himself once in game 3 trying to flank with Talia, but in the last team fight, he does this wall from the top side to box TL's escape path off, and then he just peppers their back line with Qs until they kind of like flash over at him, and at that point, his front line's like caught up to him. So I think he understands that champion really well. He uses it to take turrets and barons well. I think it's definitely something people should be banning versus him.
Yep.
All right, great. No, shut up. We're done.
All right, I guess we're done.
No, we're doing Fly Quest Immortals.
Immortals versus Fly Quest.
Immortals versus FlyQuest. Another 3-game series. This was the last one to wrap up of the day, so it should be really fresh in my mind.
I'm sorry. My brain kind of melted by this series, because this is the series where like I had to go get keys from Mark, and I had to sit 40 minutes outside switching between the games on my phone, trying to be like, what are they doing here?
So I told Scarra, make sure you come by the LCS to grab my keys, because Josh is not available this week.
I did.
And then I forgot I told him that. And then I checked Twitter, and I saw a DM from Scarra 30 minutes later saying, hey, I'm here. I'm outside. So it wasn't even like Scarra was inside the LCS watching the games. He didn't have a ticket. He couldn't get let in. So he was just in the parking lot.
Actually, they were just like, sir, do you have a wristband? I'm just like, no, I'm good. You have to stay out here. I'm like, okay.
So I finally went outside. My phone was on airplane mode, so like he Skyped me, he tweeted me, he did what he could. I was being a dumbass.
All right, let's get to the games, dude. Whatever we can remember from them. So
Immortals went way too aggro again, but FlyQuest went even more aggro and threw harder. Like this, especially game 3 was like a Game of Thrones, but game 1 was like, all right, hold on. Before we get too far into game 1, it was hilarious. I'll skip that one for now. Game 2. FlyQuest answered back using a really old kind of basic comp where it's like Rengar, Ori, Lulu, Ashe, Kennen, which I actually like a lot for their team. All those guys are on comfort picks and play them well. And then game 3, they give Zac, and Zac kind of wins the game. Eventually, not right away. They were losing again. FlyQuest did have a throw, but Zac becomes a monster late game team fighter.
Yep. So to build on this, a lot of the situations with FlyQuest right now, one of their biggest problems is they're doing stuff now, as opposed to the other games where they just didn't do much in the last 2 best ofs, or they didn't do that well. They're creating early game leads and they're throwing. So similar to, it doesn't feel like they don't know how to end the game. Just the way they do is like insane, and they constantly overcommit or just do like bad stuff.
It's just not fundamentally sound. It's like,
yes,
we're gonna like run you around the map like a madman, and if you play better than us randomly, because no one has any experience in this situation, we lose. Yeah. So before we get too far into game 1, the draft is just so fucking hilarious to me. Immortals was coached by Hermes last split. Thinkar was out this weekend, so Hermes is coaching FlyQuest. He loves, I don't know if he personally loves doing weird shit with Ziggs, or like that was just how it was when they had Cody. Either way, they pick Elise, Karma, J4, Talon, and Ziggs. This is like the comp that you saw in Envy. This is the comp that you saw a couple times with Immortals, and now it's like on FlyQuest, and you're like, oh, it's Hermes on stage.
The worst thing about this draft was it was just like, why did you pick Bard? What's the point?
Why didn't they? Or
why did they? Because the way you beat Ziggs is you just outlane him. Like,
you mean for Immortals?
Yeah. It's like, okay, you see the Ziggs. It's not even a surprise. Not last picked. You see the Ziggs. Okay, that's their counter to Caitlyn. Cool. Just pick something that beats his ass. Like, actually. Yeah. But what were they left with? They're left with Karma that's still up. That doesn't...
No, Ziggs, they had Karma early for FlyQuest.
Oh, okay, so they were left with... I'm sure they could have had something. What was they banned?
Lulu,
Thresh?
Zyra was banned. Thresh is available.
I guess Lulu is the only pick available, which I still think is pretty good.
I mean, you can go like Nami if you really want to smash it with Nami K. Is like pretty brutal.
The one thing I will say is I just don't think that Bard was a good... Like, the only way you beat Ziggs is to deny it in the lane. And they didn't do that. And it got to the point where Ziggs was just able to follow up on initiations from Jarvan, which, by the way, the comp makes sense. Like, the comp is not bad.
This isn't me being like, Hermes, what are you thinking? It's just hilarious to see it on a different team, a split later.
As well as this kind of reinforced the idea that, for me, Talon is probably Hai's most impactful champion. That's not Orianna. And I think I prefer it over Ori because Ori kind of requires their team to, like, position poorly into you. He can't make the roam play. Whereas Talon...
That's so fucking sad, given that right now Ori might be the best mid laner in the game.
I completely agree.
I'm saying it's sad.
But it's stylistically, I think Talon is Hai's best character, and teams should be careful about giving this guy Talon, because it doesn't matter if his lane is like whatever. He'll be like even or behind a little bit of CS, but he'll understand how to fundamentally make plays with the character and get his team in the right spots to be able to capitalize. So how does this game blow open even?
Invades.
Yeah, they invaded red side, and Talon Jarvan came in, and they just like exploded them after being behind a little bit in the early game.
Yeah, they had lost 2 kills in the bot lane off 2 separate ganks. They were like, Immortals was attacking the Ziggs pick. It's the only real AP threat, put it behind. And then the FlyQuest invade didn't even look like it was going to be that good. It was kind of just like Elise and, was it Lee or Gragas? We're just like in the jungle scrapping over red buff. The teleport comes in and then just like balls and high delete people.
Yeah, randomly you just see the Talon just come in from like out of the screen, and then you see the Jarvan coming from behind. You're just like, oh, they win.
They're dead. And then they did like plays like that a couple times where they like got another 3-for-0 a dragon off like a team fight. Where they had like that chase down.
And the funniest thing is, the more I think about Turtle on Ziggs, the better I think about it. Like, I think that it fits very well because you can't really overcommit with the character. You can have huge teamfight presence, and your follow-up is always going to be great.
Bro, you can satchel in.
Okay, well, he's fortunately not done that. I've seen some stuff with Jhin that he did the next game Was it the next game?
I think it was the next game. Maybe 2 games.
I think it's
the game 3.
Yeah, which we will talk about. But
we will.
But yeah, for the most part, he's not done that.
Anyways, FlyQuest get an easy Baron, but then they don't play clean afterwards. They give up a lot of kills, and eventually it gets to the game, like late game, and they have this one team fight where, you know, Wild Turtle lands a massive ultimate. It chunks Caitlyn down to like 200 health, and then FlyQuest is like, kill the Caitlyn! And they just go so hard on the Caitlyn, who just kind of kites them out with zone control because they have Gragas, Zyra, Kate, Kennen, and Bard that like.
And this was a game which was like FlyQuest to lose.
Yeah, and they lost.
And it was so disappointing because first of all, I should say Immortals played this really well.
Yes, to be fair.
Everything on the last team fight up until like they literally stopped Jarvan's EQ from coming in to be able to cut to the Caitlyn instantly.
He charmed an invisible high.
Yes. It's just they kited back really well in one direction. It was just everything played out perfectly to where the Caitlyn didn't even didn't die.
Yeah.
And because of that, they won the fight. But this was FlyQuest's game.
Yeah, they should have won. They completely threw. They had mid inhib down at like what 30 minutes or something. After they got a Baron, the hardest thing for a comp like the one FlyQuest has is sieging. You have J4 Talon, which is horrible for sieging. But because they get it so early on, great. Now you can start taking super creeps and stuff. It would have been better if it was in a side lane, but whatever. You can now push in mid, go to Baron again, force again, keep kind of doing this thing, and they just threw the game. Pretty sad. Anything else to say for this one? Immortals punished well, I guess, for FlyQuest being over-aggressive.
That's the best thing you could say.
Okay.
I think this first game really highlights the weaknesses of FlyQuest in the series.
Yeah.
And it just keeps going. That's it.
Well, not for game 2, quite. Game 2, like we said, FlyQuest go with this like really old school kind of comp.
Actually, the thing about this is like it's weird to me that one of High's best champions is Orianna.
Everything you think about High says he should not be good with Orianna.
Yeah, but when you see him play Ori, like it's scary walking up on his Ori.
Even last split, he would hit like monster shockwaves out of nowhere, and you're like, how do people keep walking over his ball? Like, but he finds the angles. It's not to say like people just disrespect his Ori. He actually just finds crazy ultimates all the time with it.
Yeah, and I think he's just a great player. Like High, like when you think about High right now, I think Talon, and I think Ori.
I still think Zed, even though he's not playing it, which might say something.
Yeah, but in terms of his most effective champ pool, those two are definitely at the very top.
Yeah, and then so what happens? He gets a solo kill level 2 against LeBlanc. Just plays the aggro and like it's just weird. Like you're like, how does the Ori get a solo kill? He flashed auto ignite for the Thunder. I think he got Thunderlord's proc with the auto or something. I don't know. Either way, he just plays the aggro as shit.
And the game just already devolves into something where you're just like, oh, this isn't going to be a clean game. Because Ashe starts solo, overextending bot lane, dies. And that's...
Immortals is like making multi-man roam mid.
So like, usually when you make a play on the one side of the map, you can't make a play on the other side of the map. But apparently you can. Because they kill Turtle bot lane, and then they go top to kill balls at the same time.
You mean they kill... Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they kill... And so, already off the bat, you know this game is going to go a little bit... like crazy, chaotic.
They traded some turrets in the side lanes, and then the weirdest one was like Immortals. I can understand being a little concerned about getting pressured this game because you have Gragas versus Kennen, which is really bad as time goes on. Like the Gragas will just lose turrets in front of his face, and so I understand Immortals being like under a little bit of pressure. But I think it was only like 23 minutes into the game where they just randomly forced Baron. And it's not even like a normal Baron force where like we're kind of sneaking it and we're going to flash over the wall. They were like postured in river, like ready to fight. And the only thing I could tell was like Kennen didn't have teleport, but was running up there. It was the most random Baron force ever. And they get fucking destroyed for it.
Well, this is the one where High hits like the 2-man shockwave.
Yeah, they hit like a 2-man shockwave.
And he like zones out the right side as well.
They ace them and then they take Baron.
Oh god, yeah. This is when I saw this Baron, I didn't really know. I think it was something where Immortals didn't know what to do. And they thought that, like, yeah, eventually it's a taking time bomb on the split pusher. So they just wanted to force something, but you're forcing into an Ori comp when you have LeBlanc. It should be you get the pick first, or, like, you bait the pit to where you get the Gragas LeBlanc pick, and then you go back to force it. But that's not what they ended up doing.
Yeah, and then like the TPN came in from Flame, but he was like super far away. It was really, really brutal. And after you get aced against this comp, like FlyQuest kind of just puts shit on Rengar and he runs in and fights.
Just kills everything.
Yeah, and no one has any backline threat on Ashe really because there's no flanks. It was bad.
Yeah, with Ori Lulu, as LeBlanc, you're never going to do damage. So unless Gragas lands like a monster ulti, you just lose the game.
Which is what happened. All right. Game 3. In case Game 1 and Game 2 wasn't like ugly enough for you, they gave us Game 3.
I actually, my brain just turned off this game. Like, I got fried.
I think their brains turned off too. They were like, God damn, it's like 6:30. Let's just fight.
All right, at the very beginning, let's just talk about the draft. What do you think about the Kog'Maw? Last pick. Just really, really quick. What do you think?
I don't hate it. Can I say that?
You could say that.
I don't hate it. You talking about the Jhin last pick or the Cog last pick?
Both. Let's just go with both ADs.
Okay, I don't hate the Cog because I actually think Cody's decent. They didn't see what they're up against yet, but they have 0 protection for it.
Yes, actually negative protection.
Like, they have Bard to ult it if it gets dove. That is their protection for the Kog'Maw, which I kind of fucking hate.
Renekton, Bard, Ahri, Zac.
Yeah. Everyone goes in except the Kog'Maw.
Who dies to any kind of thing.
Now, that said, I don't think FlyQuest has a good comp for getting to it. You have Gragas, Graves, Zyra, Ori, which were shown already. So, in that regard, I don't hate the pick, and I think, to be fair to an Immortals drafting team, like the team, I bet they took that into consideration. Yeah, we can't ever protect the Kog'Maw, but they don't have great dive either.
Okay, so what do you think about the Jhin pick?
I fucking hated it. I didn't really like the Kog'Maw. I hated the Jhin pick.
I don't even know if Jin's good right now. I'm pretty sure he's not.
No, there's like a Death Dance build that you can do, and it's okay.
Like, already right here, I look at their team comp, I'm like, you know what would go well into this team comp? What would be really interesting? Kalista.
Kalista would be okay. I don't really like with Zyra that much.
Yeah, but like, going into Zac Bar is a little bit scary.
What were the AD bans?
It was Varus, Caitlyn, Ashe. Just got knocked out instantly in the second rotation. But there's a lot of priority shown in Kalista right now in like other regions. I looked at that AD and I was like, oh, it's into Kog'Maw. This could be a pretty good punish. But they picked Jhin, which actually kind of worked out for them.
It did a little bit, but not really because of the Jhin pick.
Right.
I mean, one or two situations looked alright, but you're like, why not a Twitch? Why not like anything else? I don't know.
Yeah, Twitch would have been good. A lot of things would have been good.
Yeah. Anyways, what happens in the game? There's like a 1-for-1 bot gank, and then Immortals goes for this ridiculously horrible dive onto Turtle. They bring 4 men down, but they bring them down one at a time. So like the Zac kind of goes in, gets his passive pops, he gets killed, while like the backline is getting chunked out, and then Pobal's just like, oh shit, I gotta go in, and like Renekton goes in as well. Oh, I don't think the Zac was there. It was just Renekton Ahri. But they went in one at a time, where like the Renekton flanked, and then oh god, it was hideous.
It was bad. Like this entire game for me, I was just like, that's so ugly. I thought I saw the worst of it, you know? Like I look at some of the plays, I'm like, there can't be a worse play than this. And
I thought that 13-minute dive was going to be the worst play because it's a 4-for-0.
And you're just wrong.
Somehow you're wrong, because then the 16-minute play happens by FlyQuest top.
That was a play that I was just like, Turtle, I understand you want to live the meme, but please stop.
He got the kill.
Oh
he flashed him for Bard.
Like,
got the kill.
I love that he hovered around the area so that he could pressure the other support into flashing away. I thought it was a good play.
Well, the whole play starts in the dumbest way possible, where like they don't do a group recall in the top lane. Graves has Rift Herald, so he just teleports out 4 seconds faster. They walk into a brush and then try and 2-man recall, and Bard's just like stunned.
Yeah, and it was, oh my god, the fact that Turtle flashed in for the support, used both summoners on a highly immobile AD against Zac Bard. It's gotta be worth it for him, dude.
Bard, the funniest thing is, we forgot to touch on this. Bard was an old counter into Jhin, because when Jhin ulted, you could just Bard ult the Jhin and stop his ultimate. It picked it into that.
It's just, as
well as being able to ult it at any point in time and catch it.
It's something where you're just like, Jesus, dude, come on, like this is like it's not a joke. Like Oh, it was such a bad play. It was a mind-blowingly bad play.
It goes, what, 3 for 1 and, like, brings Immortals back into the game?
Yeah, in a situation where this game is over. FlyQuest wins.
Yeah, FlyQuest was winning. Like, it was like a 3 or 4K gold lead already. And this gets them back into the game, and then the game continues to be completely fucking crazy. And eventually, there's one team fight where, like, Zach lands on top of the Jhin who got Bard ulted.
Yeah, and what did I say about before? When you're playing Zach and you're playing against Gragas, it's really hard for the Zach unless you have another form of initiation. This game, they had Bard Zach. Really, really good setup for the Zach. Zach just got that one team fight. He was behind levels the entire game against Graves. The pick itself works into Zach, but, like, yeah, if you mess up, or, like, or he's like,
or you have an immobile carry who just, you know, doesn't have summoners because he flashed, and then, you know, you get E'd and then ulted and pulled in the team, and your Jhin dies, and you're running through a small choke point together, and the Zach gets a 3-man knockup.
And then
that's a way to lose the game.
They get Baron.
Then they get Baron.
That's game over. Which, by the way, it wasn't game over. It took another, like, 8 minutes to close out the game.
Yes, that was pretty brutal.
8 minutes, which I was charging my cell phone and making slides and looking for stuff to do because I thought the game was already over.
You look at porn on my computer?
Yeah, right there.
Good taste. Yeah, anyways, this is just a scrappy series. Neither team looks good. FlyQuest falls to 0-3. Immortals climbs, if you want to call it that, to 3-1, but they looked bad this week. They looked really bad.
They were lucky to get this series win.
Immortals has played both series this week, so obviously we'll talk more about them relative to the rest of the league when we do our power rankings tomorrow, but they're going to drop a lot.
Absolutely. They did not.
They probably went from number 1 to bottom half of the league.
I'd at least put them in the middle. I have to see how the rest of the teams do.
Yeah, we have to see how the rest of the day goes.
To be fair, maybe Team Liquid just pulls some insane.
Even if Team Liquid win tomorrow, I don't think we're putting them ahead of Immortals. It's 1-3 to 3-1 then.
Who knows, man? Maybe they play that well.
Maybe they're just fucking crushed.
Maybe they just impress you so much. You're just like, oh my god, I love Piglet. Maybe you say that.
Yeah, maybe we say that, or maybe we say that's it for Greatest League Talkshow tonight, because it's already 8:15. Because it's the longest fucking day ever.
It has been a very, very long day. Usually we do a Q&A at the end of Saturdays. I think today we actually just shouldn't, because today.
You want to call it?
You want to do a Q&A a little bit?
I don't know. When did we start the show?
We started the show at 6:30.
Oh my god, has it already been 2 hours? You guys been watching the show for 2 hours? Go home. Go out with your friends. It's Saturday night.
Anyways, thank you guys for watching. I think we're not going to do a Q&A. Tomorrow, we'll have an episode where we have our power rankings as well as the 4 games from Sunday. If you want to find the VOD, it'll be up tomorrow around noon. It might run into some issues because I think my editor's flying in from China right now. So
you imported the
no, he went for vacation, and so like the uploads might be a little bit slow this weekend, but for the most part it'll be up the day right after, and you can find the upload at youtube.com/greatestleagueTS.
Transsexual.
That's not what it.
That's what it stands for. That's gonna be it out of us. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys tomorrow after the LCS. I'll be back quickly like I was today because there's no meeting tomorrow. So
Bye, guys.
Where the fuck is my mouse?